Welcome to the AI Ireland podcast, your window into the world of AI innovation on the island of Ireland. Join us as we explore how AI is harnessed to tackle both business and societal challenges, revealing the cutting-edge solutions emerging from this vibrant AI community. Don't forget to subscribe for the latest updates and insights in the world of AI. It's Mark Kelly here, and we are having a conversation with Ronan Geraghty, COO of Microsoft Ireland. Ronan, very good to meet you in person.
Thanks, Mark. Good to meet you. Thanks for coming in.
Every time I come into Microsoft, it seems bigger and bigger. It's just such a big room, actually. Big office space. It's huge.
Yeah, it's an amazing campus. We're very fortunate. It's an amazing building. It makes it really easy to come into work. Obviously, I'm part of the subsidiary, which is that part of Microsoft Ireland that works with customers and partners on the island of Ireland. But obviously, here we've got a full campus encompassing operations, digital sales for EMEA, and engineering. It's already been a big team. It's going to get bigger, as you might have seen in the last week or two, with the announcement of the 550 jobs in engineering, which is a really exciting time.
Yeah.
Investments in AI, cybersecurity. So big team getting bigger, which I think is a real vote of confidence in what Ireland has to offer.
And even walking around, you can kind of see a bit of a buzz about that. And the news that came out, and I shared it last week. I said to a lot of people, this feels really significant. And someone said to me, goes, why? It's just jobs. I said, it's the type of jobs.
Yeah, it's the type of jobs. I mean, if you think about it, it's investments in AI, it's investments in cybersecurity, it's investments in Copilot for industry, and it's investments across all ranges of experience from early stage career through to senior engineering talent.
Yeah.
So I think it's a real vote of confidence in the technical strengths that Ireland can offer to Microsoft. As you can imagine, that investment could have gone to many different places.
That's what I was thinking. Like, you can imagine everyone is competing to get that. I can only imagine the size of Microsoft, the opportunities. There's a lot of clever people working there. Tell us a little about your role now, but also your kind of previous role within Microsoft, because I think it's very interesting in terms of probably how you're going to shape your current role.
So I'm the COO for the Microsoft Ireland subsidiary. That's the sales and marketing team that works with customers and partners on the island of Ireland to make best use of Microsoft technology. So I'm a part of the subsidiary leadership team, reporting to Catherine Doyle, the general manager. My role covers a number of different areas. I think I'm responsible for the day-to-day operations of the subsidiary, responsible for the development and execution of the strategic plan for the subsidiary. And one of the big areas my team covers is the go-to-market for all of our cloud services in Ireland. So Microsoft 365, Dynamics, Azure. And over the last 24 months or so, we've been infusing AI into all of those services. So that go-to-market is very much focused on showcasing what AI has to offer, showcasing the productivity benefits, and showcasing the potential to tap in to innovation by infusing AI into intelligent applications.
When you look at AI in terms of how quickly now it's coming across businesses, people are adopting it, it has become like the most important word. Are you surprised how far advanced Microsoft are now compared to your probably competitors in the space of 2, 3, 4 years? It's incredible the jump you've had.
I think it's impressive when you reflect about where we are now. A lot of the decisions were taken 5, 6 years ago, even during COVID, when we were all adapting to remote work and the shift to using Teams, for example, in virtual meetings. There was there was a lot of focus in a lot of organizations about how to survive, never mind even thrive. And at that stage, our senior leadership team were taking some very far-reaching decisions which have helped us be where we are now. And even going back to 2018, initial investments in OpenAI, they really had that long-range vision of where AI could go and the potential to combine AI with our services. So I think that's really impressive if you think about the ability to look and do that long-range planning and see where the industry is going. And I think that's been really refreshing over the last couple of years to see that Microsoft is at the forefront of this new platform shift.
But it just feels like it's just pushing boundary upon boundary. And like, I'm in this world probably 7 years now. It is not an understatement to say it feels like every 72 hours there's a significant announcement that's been made across the industry. And at home, I'm like the boy that cried wolf, where I'm constantly like, oh my God, that's just happened in voice, or that's just happened in text speech. I suppose, does the bar just keep rising when you're seeing the rollout of Copilot, some of the applications of it? Do you just start to just reimagine your expectations of what is possible that maybe 2 or 3 years ago?
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt the pace is quite incredible, right? Both as a user and a consumer of these services in my own right, and as part of Microsoft, and we see where things are going. I think it's partly a consequence of the evergreen nature of these cloud services. It's just particularly clear, with AI, possibly even more so than what we would have seen with previous cloud services. The cadence is incredibly fast. And I was at an event recently where the point was made that AI services will never be as immature as they are now, which I think is an interesting way to start. Just kind of, it's only going to get better. And if you think about what's possible now, just imagine where that can go. I mean, the possibilities are endless, right, in terms of how people can apply this. And I think that's what's really interesting for me personally, but also for Microsoft as the provider of this AI platform. We're infusing AI into our own services, but we're also making what we like to call the world's AI supercomputer available, right? That purpose-built AI infrastructure available to developers and to partners and to our own customers to leverage those services to solve their own specific problems and address their own business challenges.
And I spent quite a bit of time in the US speaking to different industry leaders across a variety of different companies. But putting my Irish hat on, it's so exciting to see so many innovations being done in Dublin that are actually being rolled out. Even at keynote the AI tour in London a couple of weeks ago, where he was kind of doing a field service agent and things like that. Like, an awful lot of that is being actually developed in Ireland.
Yeah, I mean, it's back to the footprint of the site here in Ireland. We've got a huge engineering team. We've had people working on Copilot in Word, for example, over the last couple of years, and I think that's that really helps make it real for people. And I think with those new investments as well, there'll be further teams working on Copilot for industry, cybersecurity as well. It'll be cybersecurity for AI and AI for cybersecurity. So I think it comes back to that thriving ecosystem that we have in Ireland. And obviously us as Microsoft, we've got a lot to bring, but also we want to make sure that ecosystem is thriving in terms of developers that have access to our platform, partners who have the skills to help our customers, and I think that's one of the things I really like about the AI Awards is that it showcases what I would think of as applied AI. Like, there's a lot of conversations about AI, there's a lot of people wondering what AI can mean for their organization. What I really like about the AI Awards and why we're so happy to work with you and to be a sponsor is that it showcases real-world application of AI. And if you just look at the breadth of categories that you have, best use of AI in healthcare, best use of AI in customer service, best use in a student project, best application for a startup, best use in sustainability. I think that just showcases how this can be applied across such a different range, and it's brilliant to really see that bring to life or brought to life now.
Yeah, we're already seeing that, and it's funny, it was 2018, myself and Paul Shannon had the conversation literally over like a piece of paper. This is how it could play out. Are you up for it? Like, yeah, let's go for it. And we've had 650 applications since then.
Yeah.
But what we found this year, more than most, was that how specific the problem is that they want to solve. And how they're really focused on being pinpointed around, this is a problem that if we get correct, we're going to enable a better employee experience, or we're going to enable a better customer experience, kind of removing that friction, but also staying away from the wouldn't it be cool snare projects that, sounds kind of great to solve them, but actually once you do, you got to get a bit, doesn't really move the dial, which I explain to people is actually terrible for organizations, because the morale actually of the high of expectations actually drops. You're almost impacting your next project. Tell us about some of the use cases that you're seeing on the ground for customers using Copilot.
Yeah, so just to pick up on one point you made there, I think that that volume of nominations kind of illustrates what we're seeing in the market, that we're at a point where we're moving beyond experimentation to implementation at scale, and we're moving beyond the point of experimentation to business transformation. So real world projects, not the wouldn't it be nice, or wouldn't it be cool, it's what is the business challenge we're actually trying to solve, and how could AI help, rather than what could we use AI for? And it's sort of a reframe. If people are wondering still, how can AI help? That question of, how can it help increase my revenue, or how can it help optimize my costs or improve my employee experience, like you mentioned, rather than starting with AI as the answer, what's the problem we're trying to solve? And I think we've got some really great examples across the board in Ireland at the moment. We've got, for example, Musgraves at a recent event talking about their experience of using Copilot for Microsoft 365 and already seeing the benefits. I think 28% of their users reported productivity saving of about 2 to 4 hours per week. But beyond that, there's ancillary benefits in terms of accessibility. So, helping people, deal with large amounts of text, or craft the first version of an email, to, helping them, cope with, previously would have been quite challenging in terms of large volumes of text, which is interesting. We've also got, that's a productivity example. Another example I really like in my background, technical background before joining Microsoft as a developer, one of the best stories we had in the last year or so with eShop World, or ESW, formerly eShop World, who develop e-commerce solutions for global brands, household brands, using GitHub Copilot, which is the assistant for developers, or as their director of engineering put it, a virtual pair programmer to really, go ahead.
It's funny, in January of this year, I sat on a panel with Anne, former GM, and their CEO for their sales kickoff, and they talked about their aspirations about what they were going to use for Copilot and what they're going to do. But in the space of like 9 or 10 months, you've got the impact. So it's incredible. Like when they're going to do that session this time next year, they're going to say, "We said we did. Here's some of the outcomes." So I'm guessing from a kind of an enterprise perspective, you're able to show that at scale, because you talked about maybe 4 to 6 hours for Musgraves per week, like that across all those employees, 365, like that really is meaningful.
It is meaningful, and what's meaningful for organizations will depend on the business challenge that they have at that particular time. I think we've learned a lot in the 12 months or so since Copilot G8 in terms of what impact means for an organization, and we've changed how we work with customers and partners on it, and we start now with what are the key business processes by function, and how can what are the key KPIs that matter across sales or marketing, customer service, HR, whatever it might be, and how can AI help optimize or maybe even automate some of those processes. And then the business case and the business impact can be more tangibly linked to those particular processes. And in some cases, the business case is productivity in terms of that employee experience at an individual level, or it's productivity in terms of a team improvement. Customer service is probably the best example of that, where we've got very clear examples of AI helping agents be more self-sufficient, which you can see by reduced cases where they have to enlist support for a colleague, and improved first-time resolution of cases. So, I think we're at the point now where, like I said, to going beyond experimentation to AI at scale, but also, quite a bit of time behind us where we've seen real-world examples and proof of real business value.
What's interesting was you were telling me that you were traveling quite a bit beforehand, or doing this off air, and then obviously kind of COVID happened, and you're using kind of Microsoft Teams, and then for a lot of companies, they're like, right, we're now using Microsoft Teams, right? It becomes de facto, and it's almost kind of pushed on, but then it's kind of like, why didn't we ever use this before? And I'm sure the people in sales are like, oh, guys, we've been telling you about this, it's amazing, but then suddenly you've got that hit. For a lot of companies that are maybe dragging their heels and thinking, maybe I'm doing okay, the team's doing okay, but they don't necessarily see the impact of what Copilot could probably bring to them, or utilize more of the cloud services. What advice would you share to them?
Yeah, I think it comes back to reframing the question a little bit, whether it's with Copilot or AI, across any of your processes, is those three questions of, can it help increase my revenue? Can it help optimize my costs by maybe automating business processes, or can it help improve that employee experience? And then go down to the next level and say, well, what does that actually mean in practice? And then what we've seen through working with customers both locally, but also through our overall early adopter program, and over the last 12 months with Copilot customers globally. There's a few key fundamentals to success that business and executive sponsorship at the high level is really, really important to make sure that at the end of the day, the role here is to deliver value back to the business. So, the alignment between what you're trying to achieve and the impact on the business needs to be clear from the get-go. I think the second piece is the human aspect, the human change aspect, if you will. You can't just, unlike Teams, right? During the pandemic, there was a fairly clear use case, and there was a very compelling reason, and very, very quickly the number of users ramped up, right? With AI and with Copilot, it's a little bit different. You can't expect to derive the full benefits from it by just putting it out there and hoping that the usage is going to grow organically. Because you need to invest time yourself as an individual, but also, if you're a leader in the organization, you need to invest time in your people to help them learn how to derive benefit from it. Learn how to, maybe break the existing habits that they have, learn how to write and craft prompts, and develop that iterative interaction, because it is more conversational in nature. The UI, as our CEO would put it, Copilot is the UI for AI. But it's a conversational AI using natural language. People are used to using existing tools or search engines or internet search. It's very much, command and control.
And that is the key, that it is natural language. You're talking the same language. And yes, there's still that prompt engineering piece, which I personally think by this time next year, that'll become less of a thing, where you're kind of getting closer to how you just generally talk, and it will start to understand you more with your subtle words and stuff. What advice would you offer to people who are either trying to reskill, or maybe students coming out of college? Because in one way I'm very excited for them coming out of college, because I think the world is absolutely oyster. But in other ways I'm thinking they need to kind of adapt here, because a lot of the low-hanging fruit of administration or kind of doing some work that would have been given to them to kind of earn their stripes to get to learn, that is probably prime work to be automated, right? In terms of how you could be doing more impactful work straight away, which is good because they can come to the table and start to do more maybe engaging work. But also there's an educational piece that people need to be kind of careful just to understand.
I think it depends. In a way, people who are coming out of college, maybe they don't have existing habits to a degree that they need to break, right? So maybe they're well positioned. I think there's a few things if you think about, for an individual, right? So what are the things that I've always done that maybe I can now delegate to Copilot? And back to the conversational aspect, rather than thinking of it as a tool, thinking of it almost as a virtual employee or a virtual team member that you need to coach. You can answer pretty much any question about, by combining web data and work data. You can ask it anything. So I think of it as being super intelligent, but it needs some coaching. So the first response you get back from the answer may not be what you want. So you have to refine it, and it's like you're drawing out the knowledge from it, right? So the first thing would be, I guess, pause. This is what I need to do. I could do it. Is it the best use of my time, or could I delegate it, or could I accelerate what I need to do through asking Copilot first? I think and for me, that's how I try and disrupt my existing flows of working and try and create that new habit.
My biggest habit has been the idea generation. So I come up with an idea, so maybe it's idea 1, idea 2. I get an idea back, which is idea 3. Usually I probably won't pick any of them, but I'll have an idea 4 from the 3 together. Or tell me about some of my blind spots of this conversation, or what I'm not seeing, the strategy plan. And it's very, very effective on that augmentation of working together. And I know there can be a fixation of it's going to do your work for you, or it's going to automate aspect, but that I suppose the Copilot is the perfect terminology for it, but it's actually working with something that's got billions of investment in, that you've got as your partner, or act as if you are this person, or act as if you've got this skill set. It's kind of mind-blowing if you start to really utilize it.
I love it. I mean, I don't think of it as doing work on my behalf. I think of it as augmenting the skills that I already have. and allowing at times me to focus on more complex things. To your point, right? You asked it for a few ideas, it gave you three. Maybe the combination of those three sparked, the fourth, right? But that came from you, and that's the creativity piece. So, I think in the longer run, it's going to allow humans to focus on those higher value, more complex tasks, and we can, stand on its shoulders, if you will, to get more done from a productivity point of view, but also from a creativity point of view. We recently did some studies with LinkedIn, which looked at the adoption of AI, across the board, not just in Ireland, and it was those creative roles that were, really, leading the charge, if you will, in terms of upskilling and incorporating it into their day to day. So I think it's, it's incumbent on all of us as we think about how we thrive in an AI-enabled future. How can we leverage it to our advantage? Whether in our personal lives, whether as an individual employee or as part of a team.
One of the things that people can sometimes underestimate, unless you've got this job in an organization, is the investment in security. Like Microsoft as a whole has taken this so seriously just to stay ahead of those bad actors.
Yeah, I mean, security is the number one priority above all else. Our CEO has been very clear on that over the last number of months, that if there's a choice between functionality and security is the way to go. And that applies to every single individual in the company, from CEO all the way down to every single individual contributor. So and it rolls up to our approach with the Secure Future initiative, that everything is secure by design, everything is secure by default, and that operationally everything is optimized and monitored, and we have feedback loops to make sure that we are learning and addressing any issues as they come up. It's non-negotiable, and it's super important as part of ensuring that people have trust in the platform overall, not just from an AI perspective, but that they can be confident that the Microsoft Cloud can safeguard their data and safeguard their business.
That's probably my final question. 2025 really looks like that year of agents and kind of agentic AI and kind of coming through. And some people I speak to, they think the problem is too challenging to solve because there's so many different parts at play. Obviously, I'm guessing you're not going to give too much away, but are you excited for what's coming down the track?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very excited, and sometimes I get surprised by what comes down the track, but it seems obvious when it arrives. And I'll come back to that in a second. But I think in terms of agents, I mean, we've kind of started, I guess, with, if you think of Copilot originally as an AI assistant, you can think of it as an agent which was task-based for retrieval. Then the next step is an agent that will automate something in response to an instruction from you. Say, go do this, and it'll go off and take a look at all your open POs and help make sure that you're on track for your spend versus budget. But the next one is what you're referring to, I think, is those more autonomous agents, which will in turn orchestrate other agents. So that if, for example, you were organizing, if you're organizing the event in another year or two, right, you will have an agent that is in control for the overall orchestration, and it might delegate to an agent which will go, well, find me the available venues. And then you'll have another one that will work on different logistics and come back to you and go, here's the proposal. Which I think is, and again, that can be applied across customer service in terms of triaging. It can be applied across pretty much everything you can imagine.
And one of the things that I find so inspiring now is you're going to have managers who were never comfortable managing people, but they've got an opportunity to manage agents. And maybe agents and people, but they've got a job now of a manager of agents, where usually it might have been either management or technical, and you kind of went through. But I suddenly see this as a new opportunity for growth.
Yeah, it comes back to collaboration, right? So we will be collaborating with agents, but also this will improve human-to-human collaboration as well. And I think that's one of the real prizes. There are many prizes here in terms of the potential of where this could go. But the early signs are very encouraging in terms of what we've seen recently with the study, where across 3,000 Copilot users, about 60 customers worldwide, as well as the things that we've known for a while, that it can free people from the burden of email. We're seeing collaboration improving because people are spending less time in those unproductive meetings for information exchange and coming together more for value creation. So AI and collaborating on AI generated content has come a long way in the last 12 months. And back to the point I mentioned, what did I not see coming, right? Which kind of was obvious when I saw it. If you think about your experience with Copilot, you ask it for something. And it gives you back, for example, those 3 ideas that you mentioned. I thought when that came out, mind-blowing. But then in wave 2, which came out a while ago, very recently, was the ability to then share that to a page and collaborate with your colleagues on that AI-generated content. So you've gone from this somewhat ephemeral AI-generated content to something that you can start immediately collaborating on. Made total sense when I saw it. Did I see it coming? I have to put my hands up and say no. But, in terms of reducing the time it takes to go from good to great, whether it's an email, a document, or a project that you're working on with your colleagues, I think that's a really good example of
and I think it's wonderful because the bar raises, employee experience is good, customers have less friction, they don't care if you use AI or not, they just want a better experience, and ultimately you're trying to allow people to do better work, and that to me is very, very exciting. That's a good place to be. Ronan Geraghty, COO of Microsoft Ireland, thank you very much for joining us for today's podcast.
Thank you, Mark.
On the 26th of November, join us for the 6th Annual AI Awards at the Marco Hotel in Dublin. This year's event promises to be our largest and most impressive yet, with over 300 community members in attendance and over 48 applications of AI in action. This truly is an incredible world-class event, and we are inviting you to this event. Experience the excitement live, because we're going to be capturing this with a world-class film crew, and it's going to be streamed online. However, if you want to join us in person, book your table now, because opportunities are limited. If you're interested in sponsoring this year's awards, please contact me at Mark@AI Awards for more information and see the best in class of AI applications on the island of Ireland.